Okay, so what I'm going to try and give you a few tips on today is how to use the long line. So it is just a normal lead. It's just really, really long, right? So I like to use at least 10 meters, 10 to 15 meters, because you want to sort of teach the dog where the boundary is, sort of where the edge of the bubble is for them to not go beyond. And because that's about the distance you want your dog to stay when you've got them off lead. So it's a progression. So the long line is not only a management tool, and everyone should have one and everyone should utilize them, but it is also an intermediate between being on the short line and being off leash. So if you want to progress to off leash stuff, you need to know how to use a long line. And it's not a flexi lead, okay? Those boxes, clunky, and you don't get the feel. You don't get the same feel from using one of those flexi leads. So this is what I like to use. Now, the first thing you need to know is this part here. You don't really need to worry about having that in your hand all the time. So the very first tip I tell everyone to do is just let it drag on the ground. Just let it go, right? And then you deal with this end. Your dog's on this end, and this is what you do. You let it slide through your hand and you let the rest just drag. So you just literally walk in and you're holding it wherever you need to. You don't need to hold it all the way at the end, right? You go in and out and you let the rest of it just drag on the ground and don't worry about it. So when you're managing your long line and your dog's on that end, you got to remember you can let that just flow through your hand. You can let it go, and then you can pull the dog back in and you can let it just slide through your hand. So if you want to avoid coming to a really hard stop, your dog might be, heading off to the horizon and you want to slow them down, you don't have to come to a hard stop. So if you've got your hand here, if they're running out this way, remember you can go with them and slow them down. So if your dog is trotting along like this, you can just ease the pressure on and then stop. You don't have to come to a complete stop. So that's a nice way of slowing them down and bringing them to a stop. Then you can turn and go the other way and get them to come this way. Or you put your pressure on, you slow them down, they come to a stop, then you can bend down and pick it up. So you do that in your own time, so you're not sort of rushing and trying to grab it and the dog's still running, and so you want to avoid that kind of stuff. So I'll go and so just to reiterate, step one is just let the rest of that line just drag on the ground, and then you can hold it anywhere along the line that you want to. Okay. The next thing is let it slide through your hand. Thank you, Rhea. Reel it in, right? Let it slide through your hand and you can reel the dog in. Slide through your hand, reel the dog in. Hold it short if you need to, right? Hold it short. If you want your dog to walk on short lead, good girl. Do some training, short leash training. Break. Go. Let it slide through your hand. Right, let's go. Let's go. Good girl. To come to a slow stop, as it's running through my hand, I can just close my hand and put some resistance to it and bring it to a slower stop. Also, if it's an emergency situation, stop. Right? You can move your feet, and then it's not a sudden stop, but it's a pretty quick break, right? So if you want to come to a really sudden stop, you want to absorb the impact. So if I want to come to a sudden stop, I can move my hand out so it's not such a big jar, so it doesn't hurt my limbs and my back and things. But also you can hold that tight, you can move your hand and move your feet until the dog comes to a complete stop, like that. So we've got some cyclists going along the road to the left of us. I'm going to put some resistance on. Resistance. And then as soon as she's turned, I release the pressure and it goes. So I'm going to let it slide through my hands. Sudden stop. Back this way. Here we go. This way. Good girl. You practice teaching them how to follow your direction. So if I keep going this way, so There. Now I can come this way. Good girl. So I'm not going to pull her in my direction. I'm going to put a block in so that she can't continue in the opposite direction, but I'm not going to pull her. So this is building your recall, plus it's building that sort of that invisible bubble that you don't want them going past, so that they stay within. So slow down. Go. There we go. So now you can hold the end of it. So I'm going to come to a slow stop. I'm going to go the other way. So now once you've advanced, once you know the dog's going to, so here I'm going to put my foot on, slow her down slowly. Good girl. Let's go. Good girl. So I don't want her zooming off. So it doesn't have to be a sudden stop. It's like putting on a brake. You just put a little bit of pressure on and then increase the pressure to slow them down and stop them softly. Yeah, rather than doing that to a sudden stop. But you can do that. I mean, if you've got to do that, it might be an emergency situation. They might be heading for the road. There might be a dangerous dog heading your way, and you need to gather them in really fast. Or they're just doing something that you just really they should not be doing. Heading for the hills or anything at all, you got to remember that you can put your foot on it and make them stop suddenly. Plus, if you're busy and you want to like talk to someone and you take your eyes off your dog, you can just stand on it. That way you don't have to watch them. They can still mill about, but they've got a bubble that they can't go beyond. Keeps them a little bit under control, and you don't have to like completely focus on them. So when you're out with your dog, you need to have a focus on your dog. You need to be focused on them, what they're doing, where they are, what's around you. Rhea, good girl. And you need to just have that connection, because as soon as you lose that connection, as soon as I start talking to the camera, the dog knows, and the dog just kind of starts like checking out and wandering off. And you don't want that. You want the connection, so they can see that you're looking at them, they can see that you've got this connection, this energy. And if you just like switch that off and start staring at whatever or staring at your phone, you've lost them. Okay, straight away she's in the shrubs. Come, good girl. Nice. No, good. Let's go. This way. Good girl. Nice. Rhea, come. Good dog. Too good. Good. Let's go.